Welcome to 10 for 10, a series of interviews with personalities and dedicated leaders across the major arena soccer league. I'm your host, Erik Bergrud. For this week's episode, I'm joined by Empire Strykers play-by-play announcer and soccer podcaster, Christian Filimon. Welcome to 10 for 10, Philly.
Erik, it's a pleasure to be here, and honestly, an honor. Out of all the personalities that you could have chosen in this amazing sport, it's an honor to be a part of this. So good to see you as well, my friend. Looking really snazzy there with that tie.
Between your Empire Strykers announcing duties, your podcast, your college announcing, and just being a fan, what percentage of your waking hours is devoted to soccer?
Oh, my gosh. I guess it would depend. Look, with soccer and Major League Soccer being probably one of the longest seasons out there, I would have to say, look, a good 9 out of the 12 months of the year are focused on soccer. So there's your math right there. About 75% of the focus has got to be soccer.
That's pretty impressive. Interestingly about you, you have the unique opportunity to announce games and record podcasts with your wife, Amanda. How did you both decide to take on this soccer partnership?
So that's a great question, and it's opened up so many doors. So originally what even got me here was an LAFC podcast that I did with my buddy J.R. Liebert, the Scarf. That grew quite nicely, and because of the ties with LAFC and the Ontario Fury, mainly by a player, Adrian Perez, which those who follow this league are very familiar with him, that got us intrigued to going to Fury games. And so we wanted to create content. And at that point, Ontario Fury did know who we are based on, the little rising podcast that we created. Now, we had a meeting with Jimmy Nordberg and several other staff members of the Ontario Fury back in that 2021 bubble campaign scenario. And when there was talk about them relaunching the league, I hit them up and said, look, you don't have a podcast. I would love to create the content for you. Just make me the official podcaster, and I'll do everything I can. I'll happily do this. And so it's supposed to be me and the Scarf, but the Scarf, due to his responsibilities as a teacher, couldn't commit the time. And needless to say, I was supremely bummed at the time I had that call with him. Unbeknownst to me, Panda, my wife, in the room, she's like, well, I'll do it with you. And I looked over at her. I'm like, you serious? She goes, yeah, absolutely. I think it would be fun. And for me, the hardest part about doing anything, whether it had been being in a rock band or doing a podcast, is trying to get people on the same schedule. In this case, we're in the same household. So it was just easier to find my co-host and say, hey, look, we're going to hit the record button. Let's get the podding. So she hopped on. We had a really good time. Became a really unique human interest story, so to speak. The husband and wife team, yada, yada, yada. And then unbeknownst to us, it would lead to a broadcasting career for both of us 5 years later.
Go figure. So throughout this season, we're exploring topics related to the business of indoor soccer. You had the honor of calling the MASL's first game on CBS Sports Golazo Network last season. Did you change any of your normal preparation that day, or was that just another game?
I can't say that was just another game, no, because it was a crazy day. Panda ran the marathon. We had all the pressure. And at the end of the day, like when JP Della Camera puts in a call directly to you, you know he means business. And JP's been great with all of us broadcasters. I've gotten a lot of great news, notes, insights from the man, the myth, the legend himself. But him telling me just certain things I need to be mindful of, for example, like the nicknames, toning it down a little bit on the nicknames, keeping certain goal calls to a minimum when they really should be expressed. He gave me a lot of good insights. So I did tone it down a little bit because, me and at the time, Jonathan Reimer felt the enormous responsibility of shouldering the league on it. But I love prime time. I'm all about it. Put me in those pressure situations and I'll thrive. And luckily it worked out really well. It was an exciting game. We had some brilliant clips, particularly that Harold Hansen bicycle kick. And we're fortunate that from there, CBS Sports Golazo Network thought so highly of the league and the production that we got to do more games in the league. Obviously, as you know, there was finals. You called game one. I called game two. And we had a series of games all throughout the season on CBS Sports Golazo Network. So some minor tweaks and changes there, but you can't keep a good Philly down, as I'd like to say.
Well, since you mentioned it, and speaking of CBS Sports Golazo, it has become the streaming home for the Empire Strykers, including all 12 regular season games from Toyota Arena and several road games. How has this opportunity affected the Strykers brand and your team's production approach?
The production approach I've always thought was top notch. Mike Zepeda and everybody there do an unbelievable job. The amount of work they put in, the amount of gadgets and devices, it's a full on production. It's unbelievable. And so we just felt like we had to button it up a little bit more, obviously, because now we weren't on just on Facebook, on YouTube. We all are ambassadors of the league at that point. So it got a little buttoned up, but after the first one or two, I would say, everything just kind of shifted into being a normal game for us. It was an honor in that respect, of course, but at some point, when the glitz and the glamour and the excitement fade away, you're still locked in on what you got to do, which is calling the game. And I love that. As far as the brand is concerned, I could tell you primarily here in this SoCal region, in particular, when I go to LAFC games, whether it be as a member of the press or whether it be as a fan, I'll actually get people out there going to me, hey, that's Philly, the Empire Strykers guy. Which for me is kind of shocking because I'm more popular on the LAFC circuit. But to get recognized at BMO Stadium as a member of indoor soccer, the MASL and the Empire Strykers, I got to credit that to CBS Sports Golasso.
Yeah, for sure. So think back to your first season as a play-by-play announcer in Ontario. How did you prepare to transition to the wild world of indoor soccer? And who were your announcer influencers earlier in life?
That's a great question. How the job came about, it wasn't anything I had plenty of time to prep for the first few games. When we hopped on to do the broadcast, if you recall, that was the bubble at Toyota Arena where it was 5 straight games. So not only was it the first time we ever broadcasted and the first time we ever broadcasted indoor soccer, but now it's trial by fire because we had to play the endurance game. And so the preparation that I put together was just by seeing what some of the more popular soccer pundits would put together for their notes. I like to be detailed. I like to tell the stories. I learned so much. Eric, you'd appreciate this. I'd even go on eBay and buy old box sets of like the old indoor cards from like the Pacific Coast League, all that, just so I could do research on the history so I don't come in as a complete neophyte. And so I did a lot of homework prepping for what that was to become. Was the first few calls great? No, I'll tell you right off the bat, I don't even want to listen to those first few calls. But because we had so many games consecutively, I didn't have time to ponder and wonder. I just had to go right through it. And I'm thankful for that opportunity. Granted that after the 5th game, I was ready to crawl under a rock and die for about a month. But to answer your question in regards to idols, look, I've been a fan of college basketball since I was 9 years old, since Seton Hall and Michigan played in the 89 NCAA championship game. What I really, really admire is people that come at things with passion. So for me, no surprise at all that Dick Vitale was a huge, huge influence of mine. In fact, damn near a hero on my Mount Rushmore, top 5 people, period. And the reason being is because you can feel the passion in his voice. To me, same with Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, for example. People that are passionate give me hope and give me joy. The number of days I would sit in my apartment in New York City on a Sunday, dreading the work day ahead of me, I would listen to Dick Vitale. I would listen to guys like Steve Irwin. I know he's not a broadcaster, but these are the people that gave me joy. And that's sort of not what I wanted to emulate, but how I wanted to gear myself as. Just a person that you could tell is passionate about this because I love doing it. You could say you don't like my delivery. Maybe I'm too over the top, but you can't deny the fact that I love the sport and that I am prepared.
In the MASL, unlike most other North American leagues, your audience each game consists of Strikers fans, visiting fans, and neutrals. How does that mix affect how you announce, if at all?
So at that point, you really have to cater towards people as if they've never really watched that much. The CBS Sports Golasso scenario opened up the doors for a lot of fans. So I didn't want to go out there and talk about the game and the players and the rules as if everybody knew what was going on. Wanted to cater it to where there's something that occurred, we would mention it. So instead of going, oh, look, it's a Smurf, it's a blue card. Well, why don't we get into what a blue card is? And Jonathan Reimer did a great job at explaining those rules. So, of course, we touched on that from like the simplicity and the nuances of the rules. From there, obviously, we broke it into bringing in the players' names, eventually catering towards their nicknames and using their nicknames, so on and so forth. The idea is on any broadcast, it would be the away fans that would be more than likely listening to it as opposed to the home fans. I'd hope more home fans were in the building than they would be than watching it at home. But obviously, out of respect for the opponent, well, I usually try to cater the broadcast so they know that I've obviously done my homework and that I respect their franchise. And I try to call as unbiased a game as possible. I'll get excited regardless of who scores. But obviously, you might see it in my voice a little more when the Empire scores, just that hint of decibel level a little higher than when the opposition scores.
Final question for you, Philly. The MASL will hold its playoff quarterfinals and semifinals down the road from you at San Diego's Front Wave Arena. What are you looking forward to most during that weekend?
Honestly, connecting with so many people from so many different teams that I don't get to see, very often. I mean, that's the cool part about it, is that we've all been given some time in advance to sort of prepare for the trip to Oceanside. For me, obviously, it's not that far of a trek, but if it was in Kansas City, if it was in Harrisburg, Baltimore, Utica, wherever, I would have gone because I just want to be a part of all this in whatever way, shape, or form that I can, whether it be calling a game, hosting something, doing a pod, interviewing players, heck, sitting in the stands. It's just connecting with people that I haven't connected with from other teams. That's the part that I look forward to the most. That's what I enjoyed when we were at the MASL draft. And that's what I enjoy when I get any kind of opportunity to travel, albeit it's really only been San Diego and Chihuahua that I've really gotten to go to.
Very good. Well, thank you, Philly, for joining us today. And thanks to each of you for joining us. Visit maslsoccer.com for additional league news and for additional content.